Well, Saturday night I got married, and me and my wife settled down. Now me and my wife are parting. I think I'll take a little stroll downtown. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dream.
And sometimes I live in the country, and sometimes I live in town. Sometimes I got a great notion, I wanna jump in the river and drown.
Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dream. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dream. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I'll see you in my dream.
We lived in Chicago for a little while, and just I want somebody to bear witness that I did do a gig with Sting, and you were there.
I was there.
And you talked to Sting. This is a weird job. So, my mother. I have so much to tell you about my mother. My mother was from New York. She was a Woodward. So the Woodward family name is actually her family name. It's in the novel, as you see. My mother was, in fact, a Donut Dolly. Everything that happens in the novel up to a point, and understand that it's fiction, so it's fictionalized as well. But every milestone in that plot is what actually happened to her in the war. And people didn't always realize that, I don't think, about my mom. My mom was an exception. She was from a world I didn't understand. You heard I was born in Tijuana. I had never been anywhere. It was a really big journey to get to Claremont.
Sometimes I got a great...
Steinbeck, I love him for this. He told him, you may only call me John, Johnny, or Jack. Never say my last name. He didn't want public attention. And he told him, if you do that, I'm going to have to stop. So my mother was from a world very alien to me, okay? And she was a society gal. And I'm going to do this. I've been doing this trip because it makes me really happy and it brings her into the room. But I want to show you physically what my mother was like. Even a little bit when my pals knew her. But my mother, you know, she thought everything was high style. She thought everything was elegant. So she didn't call me Luis, of course. She called me dear boy.
Dear boy.
I will act out a moment of my mother. So, my mother, if you were in a social situation, my mother had a pose that she brought with her from New York, and the pose I used to call the teapot because she'd stand like this. And she'd look insinuatingly at you. And smoke sometimes for effect, a la Betty Davis. And she also really loved her jewelry, and she had a big topaz ring, so she wasn't smoking, she was speaking. And if you happened to say something witty she appreciated, she would take a puff and she'd say, "Oh, God." That was my mom.
In World War II Europe, the women pictured are left to right, the author's mother, Phyllis, and fellow Donut Dollies, Jill and Helen, standing before their American Red Cross clubmobile, the Cheyenne.
So we decided to start researching. We went into her archives and her papers and her photographs of her, this incredible history she had with her. But I kept thinking about Jill. She called her Darling Jill. And my mother's injuries came from a hideous crash on the way up the mountains to Berchtesgaden. And she only would say, there were two of us, and we never found the other girl. And I thought, it was poor Jill. I thought Jill was dead. And Cindy found a typed manuscript in my mom's stuff called Miss Jill Goes to War.
Now me and my wife are parting. I think I'll take a little stroll downtown. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night. I'll see